What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and today I'm back to talk to you about Warhammer 40k. Today we are on the 6th day of the 13 days of Halloween, a little series where I like to cover the horror aspect of Warhammer 40k all the way up until Halloween. So today we are doing a GrimDark battle between the Necrons and the Drukhari. So if you don't know what a GrimDark battle is, essentially we pit two warriors of the 40k universe, we look at their lore, their weapons, their war gear, and then I make a hypothetical battle between the two warriors to see who would come out on top. The way we figure out the victor of this battle is through three different ways. The first one is through their actual lore. The second one is via poll, which I usually have either on the Facebook page or on the YouTube channel, and the last way is by actually rolling some dice and seeing who comes out the victor on the tabletop. If you do like these types of videos, I do have a playlist for all the battles that we've gotten in the GrimDark Battles playlist, which I will link at the end of the video, as well as another link to the 13 days of Halloween. So without further ado, let's go on ahead and talk about the Flayed ones and the Mandrakes. Draped in the torn, dripping skins of their victims, the Flayed ones creep through the shadows. Their ghastly appearance can be attributed to the Flayer virus, a curse of the Catan Landugor. Cast upon his betrayers in his final moments of existence, it has ravaged the minds of certain doomed Necrons, awakening in them an unquenchable hunger for the warm flesh and blood of the living. Those afflicted by this virus are banished from their tomb worlds, lest their curse spread further. Some lords had even attempted to exterminate them in order to bring an end to this virus. However, these efforts have been in vain. Though they heed no master, when the legions march to war, Flayed ones will often wriggle through the skin of reality to follow. Then, when the scent of death is thick upon the air, and the screams of the dying echo across the battlefield, they will strike, with long, needle-like claws, carving apart their enemies in a frenzy of blood and gore. When it comes to their weapon and war gear, they're essentially the same thing as a Necron warrior, however, their hands have the Flayer claw attached to it. Essentially, it is an array of lethally sharp blades, claws, and mechanical shears to allow them to better tear and shred their prey to ribbons, and to peel off their flesh, which they wear upon their bodies. Unfortunately, they do not have any means to attack at range, but what they lack in ranged combat they make up for with a ferocity and a bloodlust to get into close combat and rip apart the enemy. When it comes to defense, they are just as strong as any Necron warrior, for they have the living metal regenerative bodies of pretty much any and every Necron. And with that being said, that pretty much describes a Flayed one pretty well. So, now that we know the ins and outs of this Necron, let's go on over to learn about the Mandrakes of the Drukhari. A Mandrake is essentially a foul, corrupted warrior of the Drukhari, aka a Dark Eldar. They are often found in a region of Kamara that has fallen into shadow. Within this region, dark and twisted demons are said to live here. These shade demons are said to freeze the soul, but with a single touch. And apparently, these demons have been breeding with the Drukhari, creating a Mandrake. This vile creature is feared everywhere in the galaxy, for a Mandrake can literally manifest into any region of space-time, all thanks through shadows. It literally emerges through the shadows of a living being, and then it will sink its frigid claws and teeth into its unfortunate victim. If you're ever lucky enough to see a Mandrake and live, you would know that their faces have no features, and that their skin is pitch black, while their hair is the same color as splintered bone. When it comes to their weapons and war gear, they need no war gear, for the only weapon they choose to use in battle is usually an evil-looking blade or a sickle sword of unknown materials. They use these weapons in tandem with their ability to conjure a Bale Blast, which is the channeling of life energies that are stolen from their prey, and form them into blasts that are capable of freezing fire itself. This energy will then wreathe their victims in spectral fire that can burn flesh and the soul all at once. With that being said, place your bets because the GrimDark battle between the Flayed One and the Mandrake will be starting now. The Necrons assaulted the cathedral world of Ilios, and only after a single day, 98% of the Imperial population had been exterminated. The main Necron force then left the planet, leaving the scraps of humanity to be hunted down by the Necron Flayed ones. With all the death and destruction caused by the ancient xenos, somehow a lone cathedral still remained intact. It stood as a last beacon of hope, and with it, a handful of humans prayed to their god emperor for salvation. Their prayers quickly turned to screams as the Necron Flayed one burst through one of the paned glass windows. As it came closer, its claws dragged across the concrete walls. One of the church's apostles stood before the xenos. Trembling, he spoke. "I have no fear for you, for the god Emperor A single-bladed finger pierces through the apostle's mouth. With a slow motion, the Necron brings his arm down, cleaving the apostle chin to stomach. The other humans watch in utter horror as the Necron begins to skin the apostle alive. The flame of the candles within this cathedral flicker as shadows are cast along the blood-soaked ground. A black arm then reaches out from within, and an unspeakable monster emerges. It stretches out its other arm, and a bluish-white energy is sucked out from one of the horrified humans. This human falls frozen stiff to the ground. The energy taken begins to wreathe itself across the Mandrake's left arm into a ghostly green flame. The Flayed one locks eyes with the new creature as blood drips off of its freshly adorned flesh. A blur of movement, and then clang! The Mandrake's rusted cleaver connects against the Necron's metallic body. To his surprise, no damage has been done to the enemy before him. He tries again and again, but the Mandrake's attacks manage to just shove the Necron around. Sparks fly as the cleaver shatters against the Flayed one's claws during its counterattack. However, the claws not only broke the cleaver, but also managed to pierce the chest of the Mandrake, drawing blood. The Flayed one then pounces forth, but it becomes engulfed in an ethereal flame. As it falls motionless into a burning heap, another human falls dead. The Mandrake walks over to a shadow and reaches inside. It then pulls out a scythe and wreathes it in this ghostly flame once again. He puts the blade across the still burning Necron, in a swift motion beheads the ancient xenos. The Mandrake smiles as he turns to face his new terrified victim, the last remaining human. Shinked! 5 bloody claws then pierce straight through the Mandrake's face, as the charred flesh falls off of the newly reanimated Flayed one. The last thing the human saw was the bloody claws of the Necron and its new black and green flesh suit. The winner of this GrimDark battle is the Necron Flayed one. And there you have it, folks. The winner of this GrimDark battle is none other than the one who wears the flesh of its enemies, the Flayed one. So how did it do? Surprisingly, in the poll, the Necron won by a landslide. 71% was all for the Necron. I don't know if it was because of the Necrons coming out with the new stuff, with like the Indomitus box set, the Void Dragon, the Silent King, new models for Flayed ones. I don't know if that had anything to do with their popularity, or maybe it's just that mandrakes aren't really well known. When you think of the Drukhari, the Dark Eldar, mandrakes are probably the last thing on your mind, because you've got like the Raiders, you've actually got the Incubi, the Witches, Homunculi, and probably most people don't even know what a mandrake is. So it doesn't surprise me that Necrons won the poll in a landslide. However, when you do look at the lore, freaking Necrons are pretty OP. They've got the living metal bodies that can basically heal themselves, they can reanimate, and when they're going up against mandrakes who pretty much steal fear from their enemies and use it against them, Necrons feel no fear. They're soulless, they don't have emotions, so they can't really do anything. Their weapons are literally just normal weapons, cleavers, swords, that kind of thing. So there's no way that a regular sword can pierce a Necron's necrodermis body. However, that's where the humans came into play. He was able to siphon their fear, their despair, and use it to strengthen its attacks, actually doing damage to the Necron. However, that's not enough, and as we see here, the Mandrake fell to a Necron Flayed one. Now, on the tabletop, we did play it out, we rolled some dice and whatnot, and of course, the Necron Flayed one won most of the time. So with that being said, I think that pretty much shows that unanimously, the Necrons are better than Mandrakes when it comes to lore, on the tabletop, and in popularity. So do you guys agree with the outcome of this GrimDark battle? Do you think it could have gone differently? If so, how would the Mandrake have won? Please let me know down in the comments below. And also let me know what other GrimDark battles you guys want to see. I've got a whole playlist going to be posted down at the end, so you guys can check it out. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this horrific GrimDark battle. As it was, I think it was episode number 6 of the 13 Days of Halloween. So again guys, stay tuned for more things 40k, more things Halloween themed, and of course, more GrimDark battles. This has been the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I will be catching you guys tomorrow. Peace.